looked initially like many of them would be driven out, but they have come and hit back hard. And that is why you have a situation where Russia makes some gains, then they are beaten back, and then you have the shelling and the attack on what are presumed to be residential areas and buildings and installations that are more focused towards civilians. But at this moment, Russia will go and claim that the Americans and NATO have equipped the Ukrainians with so many weapons that it is impossible to tell between civilians and the military. And that is why you have situations where we've seen so many visuals, Katsween, of where Russian tanks are firing directly at multi-story Ukrainian buildings. And so that is essentially what we are seeing more and more as the war progresses, as Russia is unable to conquer any of the cities.
And Ankit, you know, much that is being spoken of how is it that the West, how is it that NATO and European Union have also been swinging into action and have been slapping tight sanctions against Russia. And another update that we're in fact picking up on the same, the European Union is finalizing the fourth package of sanctions against Russia, including in the personal and sectoral domains. So once again, more breaking news coming in as far as EU sanctions are concerned. Remember, they had already decided to cut off Russia from the IMF and the World Bank. They've been imposing bans on steel imports from Russia, luxury goods exports to Moscow. Several of such developments have already taken place in the recent past itself. And now we've seen US also come in and tighten sanctions. They've been imposing more and more sanctions. Not just that, they've in fact sent out a warning. Ankit, they've sent out a warning to China, and we're parallelly keeping our focus on the meeting that is currently underway in Rome as well, because a lot is going to be discussed on how China could come in and help Russia, or rather ease the burden that is currently being faced by the Russian side as far as these non-stop sanctions go.
Viewers, we also have more breaking news coming in. We have visuals coming in right now, viewers, of the moment that a shell hit a residential building in Kiev. We have these visuals coming in more and more from civilian areas, and in one of the visuals that we have now received, you can see how there appears to be a park, and there is a person who is walking in the park. And as he is walking towards his right direction, you see from around there a large explosion takes place, and there is a building there that is engulfed in smoke and flames. This is the continued shelling of the Kiev residential areas and Ukrainian residential areas. For more on this, I'm going to hand over to Samiksha. Samiksha, definitely Russia's claim that it is avoiding the civilian areas don't hold mustard in light of these visuals, do they?
They're speaking for themselves. How residential buildings have been, attacked time and again by the Russian troops, even though Russia constantly has maintained that residential areas are not on its target and only military bases is on its target. Whereas what we're seeing on the screens right now paints a completely different picture, saying the visuals there speaking for themselves, how Russians have been time and again attacking these residential complexes, the residential buildings that have now been reduced to rubble, reduced to dust as a result of the airstrikes and bombardments that continue to take place. And this particular visual coming in from the Kiev region where the airstrikes happened by the Russian troops. You can see how, in fact, the visuals are from that very moment when the shelling happened in this very location of Kiev. And this is the residential building again that we are talking about. And the whole area completely devastated. We can see the extent, the magnitude of devastation as well on the screens right now. This as the crucial talks are still underway between Russia and Ukraine.
Absolutely. The